Hello everybody and welcome back to another quick deck tech guide. Today we are featuring Daxos the Returned. He is a 3 mana 2/2 and says whenever you cast an enchantment spell you get an experience counter. For 3 mana you put a white and black spirit enchantment creature token onto the battlefield. It has this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of experience counters you have. In this deck we want to cast a lot of enchantments while Daxos is on the battlefield. With that we gain a bunch of experience counters and overwhelm our opponents with a spirit army. We want to cast spells like Radiant Destiny, a 3 mana enchantment with Ascend, and as it enters the battlefield you choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and as long as you have the City's Blessing they also have Vigilance. Vigilance is a very important keyword in this deck, so you can swing with your spirit tokens without facing any consequences. Grasp of Fate. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent exile up to one target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield. The game will come to the point where you just have to get rid of a few very dangerous cards of your opponents, and especially in that situation Grasp of Fate is extremely helpful to secure you the win. Black Market Connections, a 3 mana enchantment, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase choose one or more. Create a treasure token, you lose 1 life, draw a card, you lose 2 life, and create a free 2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. Black Market Connections is a very powerful value engine, and always remember that the colorless shapeshifter creature token is also a spirit. Code of Grace, a 4 mana enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and if you're the monarch create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. You will play this card, you draw a card in your end step, and you're not that mad about getting those spirit tokens because a lot of your anthem effects will target spirits anyways. Inspiring Leader, 3 mana legendary enchantment background, which says commander creatures you own have creature tokens you control get +2/+2. So you basically get a +3/+3 for 3 mana for all of your spirit tokens when you cast a spell while Daxos is on the battlefield. Intangible Virtue, 2 mana enchantment. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance. Another great anthem effect which also secures Vigilance. Let's cast a few very cheap enchantment spells simply to secure gaining a lot of experience counters. Hopeless Nightmare, 1 mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. When it is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you scry 2, and for 3 mana you can sacrifice it. In my opinion, for 1 mana this card does really a lot, and is extremely powerful in a Daxos deck because it is also an experience counter for 1 mana. Underworld Coinsmith, a 2 mana 2/2 with Constellation, and itself is also an enchantment creature, so you also get an experience counter from casting this one. Constellation says, when it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. You can also pay 2 mana and pay 1 life, so each opponent loses 1 life. Grim Guardian, a 3 mana 1/4 enchantment creature, and it also has Constellation, so when it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. Darksteel Mutation, 2 mana enchantment aura. Enchanted creature is an insect artifact creature token with base power and toughness 0/1 and has indestructible. And it loses all other abilities, card types and creature types. Darksteel Mutation can be really annoying for your opponents if you enchant their commanders with this card. Seal of Cleansing, 2 mana enchantment. Sacrifice Seal of Cleansing, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Sure, this card is a 1/1, but it is a cheap enchantment that gives you an experience counter, and if you just leave it on the field, your opponents constantly have to calculate with you cracking this card to destroy something. Nyx's Fleece Ram, 2 mana 0/5 enchantment creature, and at the beginning of your upkeep you gain 1 life. Sure, it doesn't look like much, but a 0/5 can block a lot of creatures out there, and you shouldn't underestimate the constant life gain from this card. Let's draw a few cards. Mesa Enchantress, 3 mana 0/2, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Phyrexian Arena, 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Tocasia's Welcome, 3 mana enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Depending on how much mana you have available, you can simply create a spirit token on each of your opponent's turns to always draw a card. Spirited Companion, 2 mana enchantment creature, 1/1, and when it enters the battlefield you draw a card. This card replaces itself, it is an enchantment, and it is cute as hell. Dockside Chef, 1 mana enchantment creature 1/2, and for 2 mana and sacrificing an artifact or creature, you draw a card. Smuggler's Share, 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, draw a card for each opponent who drew 2 or more cards this turn. Then create a treasure token for each opponent who had 2 or more lands enter the battlefield under their control this turn. If you are playing this card, always make sure to check the end step of your opponents if you get a trigger from this card. But if you play it right, you can draw a lot of value from this card. You want to win more? You get it. Mondrag Glory Dominus, 4 mana 4/4. And if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. For 1 generic and 2 Phyrexian white, sacrificing 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mondrag Glory Dominus. Demon of Fate's Design, 6 mana 6/6 flying trample enchantment creature, and once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana costs. For 3 mana and sacrificing another enchantment, Demon of Fate's Design gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrificed enchantment's mana value. True Conviction, 6 mana enchantment, and creatures you control have double strike and lifelink. And last but not least, Sigil of the Empty Throne, 5 mana enchantment, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Just add a few angels to your big spirit army and swing for the win. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I will play in Daxos the Returned. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.